Justice Minister John Jeffery has blamed a number of factors for backlogs at some of the country's courts. He made the remarks last week during the unveiling of the refurbished Chatsworth Magistrates Court, which cost over 200 million rand. Jeffery is with us to discuss the problems facing the courts. Good evening, Deputy Minister. Thank you very much for your time. As you say, there's quite a number of reasons why we are still finding ourselves in this situation. I'll start with Stalingrad tactics, which only yesterday the head of the NPA, Shamila Batoy, raised as one of the contributors to this problem.
Yeah, that is very much. First of all, sorry. Good evening. Thanks for having me. Good evening to the viewers. The Stalingrad tactics, or let me put it as any form of delaying tactic is a real problem in terms of delaying matters in our courts. You've seen with a particular case or cases those delaying tactics and then continuous appeals. What happens in more ordinary cases are things like the accused will keep changing lawyers, and will be various delays like that. And I think the court's problem is it doesn't want to stop the accused having a fair trial, and therefore if they proceed with the case, don't grant the adjournment, have the case then overturned on appeal or review. And so they often accede to these requests for further postponements. I think from the accused side, they hope the longer they drag it out, maybe evidence will disappear, maybe witnesses will pass away, those kinds of things.
Well, there are other factors, of course, like the quality of police investigations.
Yeah, that is a factor. Obviously, before a case can be set down for trial, the investigation has to be complete. There have been problems in the past relating to other forms of evidence. So, for example, DNA evidence, DNA tests, but those have largely been resolved in the past year.
But I mean, the people who have to, who have a responsibility for the police, like your police department and ministry, like the Secretariat of Police, and so on, are they alive to this problem?
Look, I've been part of engagements with the Minister and Deputy Minister of Police. They are aware of the problems. And definitely, they were very active in terms of resolving the DNA test problems.
Now, from what you told people in KZN the other day, which gave rise, of course, to this interview, you said that the backlog is particularly has hit magistrate court the most. Do you know why that is?
Well. The magistrates' courts are where most of the cases take place. It's very few in the High Court, although there are backlogs there as well in terms of trial dates. But because they're hearing far fewer cases, it affects fewer people. We've got two levels of courts in the magistrates' courts. We've got the district courts, which deal with the less serious crimes, and then we've got the regional courts, which can deal with any crime, murder, rapes, those kinds of things. And that is, it's at the district courts, the backlogs are not too bad. The problem is at the regional court level. That is where things are problematic. And there's different reasons for that. There's a number of role players. The case is driven by the judiciary, the magistrate themselves. So they're very key to resolving the problem. But the problem is at the regional court level.
I mean, before he retired, former Chief Justice Mvoko spoke of pilot projects that his office was running at the time, which entailed a case management system that he said was to be rolled out in the high courts and in the magistrates' courts to enhance greater efficiency and the speedy delivery of justice for all. He also spoke about how they were developing norms and standards, which he said would develop internal capacity to identify all performance-related challenges in all the courts. Whatever happened to that project?
Well, that process is ongoing. The Chief Justice set up a National Efficiency Enhancement Committee at a national level, which is chaired by the Chief Justice. That is replicated at a provincial level with the Judge President of the province chairing that structure, a Provincial Efficiency Enhancement Committee, and then it goes down to a regional one with the Regional Court President and a district one as well. So that's an attempt to get role players together. The issue of case flow management is something that the judiciary is driving, and I think it works in some areas and not in others. From my own experience, it's not a uniform backlog around the country. There will be particular courts which are performing well. There are other courts that are not performing well, that are taking a long time to finalize matters. So one also needs to look at what can we learn from where things have gone better.
But is it a lack of will, on the part of those responsible? Is it a money or budgetary issue? And I'm asking this because I remember before he retired, again, the former Chief Justice told journalists a story of how he turned down 600 million that someone was offering for court modernization, arguing that it could have led to a capture. So what do we do in situations like those where, and the same argument, you will recall, Deputy Minister, was made when people were talking about how under-resourced the NPA also is, and how perhaps it's not a bad idea to reach out to the private sector to get it to, put money and resources into strengthening the NPA. The money issue, I guess, is what I'm raising here.
Yeah, look, obviously with better IT equipment, some of the delays are caused by malfunctioning CRT machines, which record the conversations in the court and basically record what is happening in the court. Sometimes there are problems in the sexual offences courts with the equipment there not functioning properly. Sometimes it's issues relating to load shedding. But then there's a large number of actors in a court case. And if any one of them gets sick or is not available, that can delay the case. But on the issue of increasing resources, I think obviously the question is that decisions that the National Prosecuting Authority take can't be influenced by anything apart from the correct application of the law. So one needs to be careful if they accept donor funding, that is not going to cloud their judgment if they have to take a decision on a criminal matter relating to that donor. And I guess the same would apply to the judiciary. I had heard of the former Chief Justice speaking about that example you've given, but he never told us who it was. But I think it is possible to accept donor funds, but one has to be careful to ensure that it doesn't compromise the independence of the NPA if they're receiving it, or the courts themselves. Just maybe to say with the NPA, they have been receiving donor funds from the private sector, from Vodacom, for example, from the SPA Group, for the Thuthuzela care centres. But I don't think there's any issue there that is going to affect their relationship with those two business enterprises.
Of course, complaining about these problems is not a solution. Whether we're talking about the ease with which case dockets disappear in police stations, or whether we're talking about the interpreting services that, by the way, fall under the Justice Department, which the former Chief Justice, an issue that the former Chief Justice raised. Whether we're talking about Stalingrad tactics, whether we're talking about what exactly is the cause of the backlog. At what point do we then say enough is enough, and we can't keep talking about learning, we can't keep talking about what things that must or should happen, but actually things that are happening?
Well, obviously, this is not something we're just talking about. We are, all of the actors in the process are regularly engaged in trying to resolve those problems. So it started with COVID, where there were backlogs for that, where we tried to assist from Justice's side, from the Ministry's side, in terms of looking at processes to eradicate the backlogs. And some of them work, some of them are less successful. But it's something one just has to keep on. There's no magic switch that one can press and suddenly the backlogs are gone. And you can be doing quite well at a particular court and the backlogs are down or eradicated, but then they can creep up again. So what I'm saying is it's not a two-stage or multi-stage process of talking about it and then only acting. It is acting the whole time, but evaluating where things are going.
Deputy Minister, let's leave it there for tonight. Thanks very much for your time, Deputy Justice Minister John Jeffery.